Hi guys, it's Jackie. Welcome back to my channel. I know it's been a hot second since I posted here. I said in my last video that I was gonna try to upload as often as I could, and I lied. I have been very busy, and I think the last video I made was back in June, maybe May. So I apologize. I know I've been meaning to sit down and film a video for you guys on this channel, but I just haven't had the time because I've been throwing myself into so much work on my other channel, which is always linked down below, as well as Twitch and other things outside of my life. And then work has been insane, and I was doing a summer course, so I just haven't had time to film a video. I'm sorry, guys, but I'm going to try to get back on some sort of schedule in the next couple of months. So I'm back. Today I figured I would talk about some of the TV shows and movies I've been binge watching over the past few months since quarantine started. This has been the one thing that's been keeping me sane since the quarantine started. I'm an essential employee. I work at a grocery store, and when I do have time to come home and relax, I usually am either reading, as you can tell by the state of my bookshelves, or I'm watching Disney Plus or Netflix. And I've completed quite a few shows, and I'm in the middle of a few, and I'm also watching a lot of movies. So I figured I would talk about those today. So let me rambling on you for lunch, jump right in and get started. I'm going to start off with the movies I've been watching during quarantine. So the one thing that I've been using the most is Disney Plus. I got Disney Plus the minute it came out back in November of last year. I love it. It is my favorite streaming service, much higher than Netflix. I love Netflix as well, but I love Disney Plus because a lot of my favorite movies are on there. And the one thing that I started off watching when Disney Plus, as far as movies, was some throwback movies to like the early to mid 2000s. The first one of those was Race to Witch Mountain. I loved this movie. It stars Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Anna Sophia Robb. I think this came out in 2009 or 2008. I loved this movie so much when it first came out, and upon rewatch I still love it. I know it's kind of not going to be for everybody, but I love it. It is a contemporary sci-fi. It follows our main character, played by Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. He is a taxi driver in Las Vegas, and there is some mysterious sightings of UFOs around the area, and he meets these two kids who are like in their young teenage years, who are aliens, and they are on a mission, and he, kind of takes care of them during the whole process. I loved this movie again when it first came out. Upon rewatch, I can say the same. Fantastic, very underrated, highly recommend. Other two movies I watched, they are part of the same series, and they're only two that have been part or have been made of this series so far, are the Percy Jackson movies. These are the first two movies, The Sea of Monsters and The Lightning Thief. I read the book series a few years ago for the first time. I had seen the movies before, and I know these films aren't fantastic. They definitely aren't, but they're kind of like a guilty pleasure love for me. I do kind of have a soft spot for them. Again, upon reading the book series afterwards, I definitely see the issues, but I think they're kind of fun to watch. This is the series is a middle grade fantasy, urban fantasy, and it follows our main character Percy Jackson, who is the son of Poseidon. It's all based on Greek mythology. And I highly recommend the book series. If you guys grew up with like Harry Potter and all that, I think you would really like Percy Jackson. And again, the movies aren't great, but they're not terrible by any means, at least in my opinion. And I think they are making a TV show adaptation, Disney is, so I would check them out. Last movies I have been binge watching on Disney Plus and kind of on Amazon as well, because there was a couple movies that weren't on Disney Plus yet, and that is the MCU, Marvel. I finally dived into the world of Marvel because my brother and my cousins and everybody around me says, "Jackie, when are you gonna watch Marvel? You would love it." I'm like, fine, I have the time. I literally watched all 23 movies in the span of like a month, maybe 3 weeks. I couldn't stop watching them. Endgame hurt me to watch because I had been spoiled for it previously, but yeah, I am actually not done with this yet. I do have to watch Far From Home, but I'm still recovering from Endgame, so I'm gonna give myself a couple days before watching that. But yeah, I couldn't stop watching them. I did take a couple of breaks in between some of the movies because I wasn't like in the best mood after watching some of them. A cough cough Ant-Man in Endgame. But yeah, it was really fun and I'm glad I finally did it. I am really excited for Black Widow when that comes out in November. I think there's another one coming out, The Mutants, I think it's called, that comes out like this week or something. So excited to dive into those, but I'm finally glad that I did dive into the MCU. Now let's talk about the TV shows I watched. We're going to start off with the two that I have completed. I've only completed 2 TV shows during this time because I don't really have the time to sit down and watch a lot of TV. The first one of those, it's one I had been binge watching before quarantine started as well, and that is Star Wars: The Clone Wars. This is my favorite show of all time. I grew up with the show. This is a TV show takes place between episodes 2 and 3 of the Star Wars saga, and eventually this last season crosses over into episode 3. And I was binge watching it to get ready for the last season to come out, to get caught up and everything. This show is so good. Like, I cannot recommend this enough. You are a Star Wars fan. If you don't like the prequels, watch the show. It will give you a whole another perspective on Revenge of the Sith. Like, I love Revenge of the Sith. It's my favorite movie of all time. But, like, this made me love it even more, and that's saying a lot. Like, this last season destroyed me. And there's so many plot twists going into Revenge of the Sith. I did not expect that. Like, it gives you a whole another perspective on it. It is just absolutely fantastic. I love it so much. And I know that's the case for most Star Wars fans. If they have seen the Clone Wars, they do really enjoy it. But again, I cannot rave about this enough. I could go on for hours about it. But yeah, highly recommend this. The only other show that I have completed this during the 6-month period or however long it's been has been Nailed It, the season 4 of Nailed It, which is on Netflix. This is a baking competition show where people, like amateur bakers, try to make those elaborate Pinterest baking designs. It is, again, kind of a guilty pleasure show. I think it's really fun. I love baking competition shows. That's kind of my weakness. I love the Great British Baking Show and Cupcake Wars and Cake Wars. That kind of stuff is my cup of tea. And I started watching Nailed It just on a whim. The first 3 seasons I binged in like a week and a half. It's very easily bingeable. It's kind of funny to watch because, again, these are amateur bakers trying to recreate these elaborate designs. It's really fun though. Moving on to the shows I am currently watching. I'm in the middle of 2 shows right now. The first one of those is Avatar: The Last Airbender, which is a rewatch for me. I grew up with Avatar when it was first coming out. I actually never completed the show when it was still coming out on a week-to-week basis. So I finally decided to sit down before the live action adaptation comes out in the next year or so and watch the entire thing. I am almost done with it. I am about halfway through season 3 right now. I'm not ready for it to end. Like, I love the show. Another all-time favorite show for me. I love it so much. I know it's the case for a lot of kids who are my age, like their early 20s, who grew up watching the show. Like, it's amazing. Like, if you haven't watched Avatar, even if you're like a little bit younger than me, give it a try. If you like, I wouldn't say it's anime, but if you like that kind of style, give this a try. I really do enjoy it. It's just, I don't even know how to put it into words how much I love the show. It's so fantastic. And the other show that I am currently watching, and I'm also almost done with, I'm on season 3, there's 4 seasons, is Star Wars Rebels. This is one I started right after the Clone Wars ended, and it is not my favorite thing in the world. I only decided to watch because I knew I was going to have to at some point in time because I am a huge Star Wars fan. And this is very similar to the Clone Wars in my opinion, and sometimes it's trying to be the Clone Wars. It is taking place between episodes 3 and 4. It's right before A New Hope and not somewhat directly after Revenge of the Sith, but like a year or so later. And we're following a band of rebels, like young teenagers, late teenagers, as they're trying to fight against the Empire. And there is characters that make an appearance in the Clone Wars who also make an appearance in this. And again, I really do enjoy it, but it's not as good as I want it to be. Maybe because I had my expectations so high after the Clone Wars ended. I had watched the first 2 seasons previously because one of the characters from the Clone Wars makes an appearance in those seasons. I think she makes an appearance in season 4 as well. And I wanted to see that because her storyline in the Clone Wars kind of ended up on the cliffhanger. And I was just really interested. So I checked those first 2 seasons out, then never finished the show. I think I had started season 3, but never finished it. So that's that. And again, I do hope to finish this after I finish Avatar. I'm going to finish that first and then finish this. And that is that. I mean, again, it's not a terrible show. It's not my favorite, in my opinion, but it's part of the Star Wars saga, so I definitely wanted to give it a chance. As far as what I plan on starting next, there's 2 shows that I have in mind that I would like to watch. There's more that I would like to catch up on, but these are the 2 shows I want to start. The first one of those is The Mandalorian. This is another Star Wars show. This takes place, I want to say it's right after episode 6, Return of the Jedi. This is, I'm sure a lot of people have heard about The Mandalorian since this show, Disney Plus came out, because it's very highly acclaimed. I've seen 1 episode of it. I loved it. Baby Yoda. That's all I'm gonna say. That's really all I know about The Mandalorian from what I remember from that first episode is Baby Yoda. And yeah, it follows a bounty hunter. And that's all I know. Baby Yoda and the bounty hunter. Sign me up. The other show I plan on watching is, again, yet another rewatch for me, and that is Once Upon a Time. Once Upon a Time is a show that was on ABC. It is another one of my favorite shows of all time. I loved the show growing up. Is the reason my channel name is actually the name it is, Evil Queen 98. It's inspired by the show. Actually, all my social media, for the most part, my other channel is Evil Queen Books, also inspired by the show. I talk about this a lot on my other channel, so link down below if you guys want to check that out. I loved Once Upon a Time when it was on the air. The 7th season wasn't the greatest, but the first 6 were fantastic. The acting is perfect. It's again very easily bingeable. I watched the first 3 seasons of the show in 1 week. I'm not joking. I couldn't stop watching because it was already on its 4th season when I started watching. And again, I was hooked. No pun intended. From the beginning, I couldn't stop watching. If you like fairy tales, if you like Snow White and the Evil Queen and Cinderella, it's got all sorts of crossovers from all different fairy tales brought into modern day. I loved it. I am really interested to see if my opinions have changed after the 7th season came out, going back from the beginning, but hopefully they didn't change that much. I can't recommend it enough. And that is it for today's video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. Hopefully I will be back on a somewhat regular schedule in the next coming months. But if you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a big thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. Again, I try to post pretty frequently on this channel, so be sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell to be notified for when I post a new video, and let me know in the comments down below what shows you've been watching during the quarantine, as I would love to know. As always, all my social media links are linked down below for you guys to check out if you'd like to follow me on any of those, and I'll be inside of you guys a fantastic rest of your day, and I will see you soon for another video. Thanks for watching, bye.